Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Common Man's Compass with David
and Justin. This is a great podcast, guys. It's a podcast navigating life, faith, and everything in between. A conversation where anything goes. You never know what we're going to talk about. There's no telling. But we always try to keep God in it and keep God involved.
And we're glad you're here.
Fine, we'll just do it live. We'll just do it live.
I love that video. That newspaper gets so mad.
Oh, we hit record. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Common Man's Compass, where we do it live.
We're doing our own interpretation of a crazy man. Apparently, that was it was a video of a news anchor being
so
absolutely ridiculous, but it is funny.
Oh, it was
He's
great.
like, "We'll do it live."
Oh, you could tell it was at the end of the day, and he was just done.
Dude.
Like, I'm done. I also like the one that's like, I'm hearing hammering. Do you hear the hammering?
Oh my gosh, dude. Well, back to the bean farm. What are you doing, David?
I'm organizing and accessorizing. That's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Well, as far as the news in the world goes today,
Yeah.
bro, have you heard about the fuel? And I know we've already talked about the fuel,
Right.
but it's worse, believe it or not.
Yeah, I didn't think they would. You know, we're trying to stretch $1, and they're like, "Hey, we'll stretch the gas for you."
Yeah.
Why not?
You know, let's just give corn whiskey to your car and see how that works.
Right.
out. Well, as everybody knows, everybody, I'm sure our listeners know, what ethanol is and that it's in your gasoline. And when we were kids, fuel was ethanol free.
Right.
We didn't have it. And then one day they said, "Bro, we can totally do this cheaper if we'll put ethanol in the fuel. And vehicles can run on it." And yes, they can. Moonshiners used to use it back in the day.
Yeah.
It's one of the ways they would transport their shine. Put it in the gas tank and run the car on it. The problem is carburetors don't like ethanol.
Right, because of the soot.
Well, it's not really the soot. It's that it gums up needles and seats really badly.
Okay, so what are needle and seats? What do you mean?
So your needle and your seat, your float pushes up on that. It helps. It's really hard to explain that to non-mechanical people.
Right. So is that the part that goes up and down? That
so
does
there's
the pump.
So there's a float. Okay, on top of this float, you have a little needle, and then it bumps into a little seat. And eventually, if you're running ethanol inside the bowl where those sit, where that little needle makes contact with this seat, it will start gumming up. And
So it
you
gets
end up
drunk.
with carburetor issues, and it starts acting like there's trash in the carburetor. Now, if you are running it nonstop, and I don't mean nonstop like never shut it off. If it's something you're using all the time, every day, probably won't notice a problem, ever. But if it's something like, oh man, I didn't mow all winter, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And well, I won't say all winter. The problem is, here's a better way to explain this. Fuel used to last a long time when it was gasoline. It didn't go bad. Well,
Right.
It might have. I'm sure it did, but it took a long time. Now that there's ethanol in it, after about 3 or 4 months, that fuel just ain't no good. It starts losing its octane.
Gotcha.
And then if it gets old enough, it just smells like straight up turpentine and stinks to high heavens. It is terrible, and it won't. You can't run a vehicle on it. It won't.
Right. That's when you pour it in the ditch.
Run.
Don't do that.
Do that.
Do
He's
not
totally
do that. That's
joking.
against the law.
That's EPA or whoever would be 10 foot up you.
Do you know why it's against the law? It
Let's hear it.
contaminates the water,
That is true.
which I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because, my granddad comes from old school. He
Yeah.
would pour it down the fire ant beds.
Yeah.
And
You're
it's
not
like-
supposed to, because water does travel underground. And so, but anyways,
Anywho.
back to the bean farm. So, what the problem is we've always had ethanol in our fuel. Well, I say always. We had it in there a long time.
Right.
We've been running 10% ethanol. They've just been given an emergency waiver to bump it from 10 to 15%. they're trying to make it so the fuel is cheaper. And that's cool, but there's a problem with that. Yeah, you're making the fuel cheaper, but ethanol makes your vehicle run less efficient. So it doesn't burn nowhere near as good as gasoline does. Because of that, it creates worse fuel economy.
So do they just need to build a newer carburetor that could handle that much?
No, and now that being said, there are going to be people out there that are going to argue with me, and they're going to say, what about alcohol cars? There's alcohol drag cars out there. Yeah, that's different.
Right, but they don't drive right. You know, they stagger and they sputter, you know.
That is not at all true. Well, you mean
because they're
oh, I get you. I see what you're saying. Ha ha ha. But no, the point being, it is not really great for your car to run on ethanol. I kind of wish they weren't doing that, but you know, you do what you got to do, I guess.
I guess that's a push for electric vehicles.
No, give me your man card.
Shave your beard, wear that pink shirt, and go get you an e-car.
Grow your hair out, put it in a man bun.
I would. I've already told Shelly I'm going to do it.
You were never going to grow. You've said that so many times. Your hair ain't never grown.
I haven't cut my hair since December.
That is not very long.
No. But I'm losing on the top faster than I'm growing.
That's funny.
So my plan is I'm not going to do the comb over. I'm going to let it grow real long, and then I'm going to put it in a man bun.
You can grow just the back of it?
Yeah.
Like all the way around your head and shave the top?
What was his name on Grand Theft Auto? The Grand Theft Auto 5, the real crazy one.
Trevor.
That's the hairstyle I'm going for. Shelly doesn't know how far I'm going.
I'm sure. I bet she would have her things she would say.
I'm probably going to wake up to her shaving my head.
I was teasing the wife the other day, and I was like, hey. She was like, what? I said, what do you think about me, like, shaving my beard off and tripping everybody out at church? And she was like, no, absolutely not. I was like, yeah, but nobody at church has ever seen me without a beard. She goes, and I have. It's like, come on.
Right.
Low blow.
This whole fuel thing, man, it's crazy because it's like, it's corn. And it's, like you said, it's not good for the engine. And the more you put in there, the more likely you're going to get damage.
Well, and it's not that it's going to damage your vehicle immediately. It's not that in 6 years, your cars have been running on it this whole time. Fuel injected cars probably won't have an issue. It's just if you're running carbureted. So, carbureted motorcycles, for instance. Yes, you can run a carbureted motorcycle on regular unleaded all day. It'll be fine. Generally, you put Supreme in a carbureted motorcycle. It's because it's a higher octane fuel.
No, I've heard some people put like a gallon of diesel in their vehicle.
Don't do that.
I've heard of people doing that, and I don't know why.
I don't either, but don't do it. This has been a public service announcement from your local mechanic. Don't do it.
I've always wondered, because I know my granddad and one of his friends would do that. They would put a little diesel once a year in their vehicle. I don't know why. That's
weird. I don't either.
You know, and
I don't know if they're thinking they're lubricating a fuel pump. I don't know. That's weird.
I don't know.
So if you have a carbureted vehicle, unless you run an aftermarket fuel pump that's electronic that you have as close to the fuel tank as you can, that's a little tip for those guys out there that put an electric fuel pump on their ride and they can't figure out why it's not running right. Real quick, electric fuel pumps are made to pull, not push. Okay?
Okay.
Or sorry, I said that backwards. They're made to push, not pull. So,
do they push it real good?
They do pull a little bit. They do pull, but they are designed to push. So what you do is you mount it really close to the fuel tank, as close as you can, so it doesn't have to work very hard to pull the fuel out. But once it hits the pump, it pushes it really hard and gives you whatever PSI that pump is designed to push out. But
gotcha.
If you take that fuel pump and you put it up there in the engine compartment, and the fuel tank's the back of your vehicle, that's a long way it's got to pull that fuel.
Right.
And it'll act like it's not getting enough fuel.
That's a long way to the
it'll
top.
Wear the pump out. Yeah. That being said, gasoline lubricates fuel pumps. So if you're running an in-tank electric fuel pump, like a factory-style pump, That pump is lubricated by the gasoline. And then if you do old enough carbureted, well, I say old enough. If you do an older carbureted vehicle and we'll say a 4-bolt main Chevy 350, 1970 Corvette, that's a great example, or a Camaro, or a pickup. Those vehicles, the fuel pump is mechanical. So it has a metal rod that pushes down on a little, we'll say a handle, for lack of a better word.
Gotcha.
It pushes down a little handle. That rod, the other end of it, is up against the camshaft. There's a lobe on the camshaft. As the camshaft rotates, that lobe pushes that rod down, and it pushes on that little handle. And that little handle goes down. That little handle, the other end of it, is a diaphragm with a spring. I'm sure. I never took one apart. I've replaced a bunch of those fuel pumps. I've just never broken one into pieces.
Right.
But anyways, when you press that dude down, and then it goes back, it has pumped fuel. So as the camshaft rotates, which is the whole time your vehicle's turning, it's boom, 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 real fast. And it's pumping fuel to your carburetor.
Okay.
So you have mechanical. When that dude, the diaphragm and all that jazz, it don't need lubrication. The only thing that really does is the rod, and it gets it because it's right there at the camshaft. It gets oil.
So I wonder with them going up to 15%, will that do more damage?
I'm not gonna say
sooner.
I'm not gonna say that it'll do more damage sooner. My concern is that it will gum up needles and seats worse than it already does.
Gotcha.
Anything higher than what it is now, and I'm like, And the problem is, there's not a whole lot of places you can go to get ethanol-free fuel. There's I think one gas station in our town that does that.
Right. What's funny is we're talking about them adding corn. Basically.
Right.
Corn.
Yeah, corn whiskey to be more exact. The only difference, let me say this and then I will let you continue. The only difference, I'm sorry, it drives me nuts.
No, you're right.
The only difference between corn whiskey and ethanol fuel, okay, is that ethanol for the fuel is distilled at a higher proof than corn whiskey, but it's the same thing. And then it's mixed with gasoline, which makes it toxic.
Right.
If you were to drink it. That's the only difference. It's literally just really strong corn whiskey.
Sounds like a Coca-Cola. Because that's where I'm going.
Okay.
Because
let's hear it.
all of this is what it sounds like. So back in the day, you hardly ever saw high fructose corn syrup.
Gotcha. High fructose corn syrup.
In food. And
now it's everywhere.
And to stretch the food, because there's more of us now, and so we want convenience, and we want fast food, and we want it now. We'll add a little bit of corn.
It's the same thing with vegetable oil.
Right.
Yeah.
And soybean.
Uh-huh.
That
didn't used to be a thing either.
Right.
Till they realized, this thing that you're cleaning your guns with, you can cook with it.
Right.
It won't kill you right now.
And I mean, it's funny. It's like we're seeing it all over again with the fuel of them. Like, this is going to be great.
Right.
We're going to stretch the gas out so everyone gets gas. And then, like you said, it's hardly ever to find a place that has ethanol free, and you're going to have to pay for it to be extra free.
Oh, I promise it'll be more expensive.
Right. And it's just like they do with the food. You want to eat fruit and vegetables that's not sprayed, because they spray it with the corn to make it fresher and make it last longer.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they spray it with Roundup. Like Roundup's like one of the worst things you can put, and they spray all the vegetables with it.
I did not know that.
Right. There's some vegetables and some fruit that you can wash them off and it'll be fine. But like strawberries absorb all those chemicals they spray on it to make them that color, to make them juicier, to make them fresher, to make them last longer on the shelf.
That being said, bananas, oranges, all that stuff does not look like a real one anymore.
No.
So we've never seen that as in our probably entire lives. But you can go
Yeah, I saw online a watermelon. It's like, that's a watermelon. It was so weird, and they weren't sweet.
Yeah, you look at like a banana was the best example. You can look at a banana, what a real banana really like before we got a hold of them looked like. It's like that's the inside of a banana.
Right. Yeah, and it's like, wow. But and they, because of the convenience and there's more people, they stretched it, and it's just a little bit of corn syrup, and it's gonna but it's slowly putting toxins in our body that's slowly killing us.
Well, look at the McDonald's cheeseburger.
Right.
This being said, I love McDonald's. I'm a fat girl. I will eat a McDonald's cheeseburger.
But is that a hamburger meat? What are you actually eating?
There's so much preservatives in it that it is not.
It's a mutation.
Well, I don't know that I call it a mutation, but
I wouldn't call it meat.
There are people that literally collect burgers and fries, and they collect the food. They don't collect it because they're eating it. They'll show it to you 20 years later. Guess what hasn't changed? That burger and fries.
I saw that. That was so crazy. This guy bought a burger right before they changed it when it was 99 cents for a Big Mac.
Yeah.
And he still had the Big Mac. The only thing that was damaged on it was the lettuce.
Right.
But everything else on it looked like it just came out of McDonald's. I'm like, and that's what I'm eating. Mm-hmm. I just found out Parmesan cheese that comes in the can that you sprinkle, it's like sawdust. Like majority of it's sawdust, and there's a little bit of cheese.
Shut up! I gotta look that up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't have my phone on me, but yeah, look it up. There's all kinds of stuff, and they add mozzarella cheese, like other kinds of cheese in it. It's not Parmesan. There's like maybe 10 to 15. Some of the more expensive one has like 20%.
And that doesn't surprise me either. If you go to other countries and you get bread, you know what it doesn't look like? The loaf of bread you buy at Walmart.
Oh, yeah. When we went to London, none of the bread was wrapped. It wasn't packaged. It was
because it actually lasts.
Just sitting there. Well, and they throw it out the next day.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are you throwing that out? And they're like, oh, it's like, so they sell it full price. The next day they sell it half price, and then they throw it away.
Yeah. Well, and you can even turn it into croutons.
Right.
Yeah. As the bread gets harder, you can turn that bread into croutons. The bread we eat today. It's one of the reasons why I think bread, as my theory, why I think bread is so bad for you. Breads here in America is because it's not actual breads anymore. There's so many other chemicals and preservatives in it. It's not bread anymore. That goes for your noodles, all of it.
Did you know bread's not white? Like it's
I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because Shelly made homemade loaf bread using flour and all the ingredients.
Yeah.
And we cut it open, and it's like, it's not like that stark white, It doesn't look like the walls. It's white, but it's not like white. It's like a yellowish white.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
But I'm going to start this new way of eating where it's all just whole food, one ingredient stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to eat meat, fruit, and vegetables. I know a lot of people are saying that fresh is the best, like getting it off the shelf is fresh. But I'm like, my thing is it's new to me, so I think the frozen to me is a little bit better. Because frozen, they pick it at the peak ripeness and then they flash freeze it.
Right.
So it's still fresh. The one that I kind of would like to stay away from is the canned good, because there's salt and preservatives in the fluid that it sits in.
That makes sense.
And but 50 cents for a can, and it's like, it's a tight budget, so I can't go and eat all organic. And even that is kind of BS of the organic, because it's like, oh, it was in dirt. It was organic dirt, so it's organic.
That makes sense.
Even though it's laced with soybean oil and it's been coated in vegetable oil, but it was in actual dirt, so it's organic. It's interesting in what they do. But we just got to be smart about it. And it's just, Now corn. I know everyone's afraid of AI, but I'm afraid of corn.
You're afraid of corn?
I'm afraid of corn. Corn's everywhere. It's in our food now. It's getting more and more in our fuel. Pretty soon it's going to be 25% corn oil.
We're going to be corn America.
And then my car won't drive right because it's drunk. I'm telling you, the corn's taking over.
That's awesome.
The kids they even know. They're like, oh, can we have corn? They're like, oh, Dad doesn't eat corn.
That's funny.
Well, riddle me this, Batman. If I eat corn and I chew corn and it comes out solid, something's up. I'm just saying. I know that's gross, but I'm just saying.
I do gotta say, I laughed that you say "riddle me, Batman" because it immediately makes me think of what I've like tried to start a new trend of. I say "holy space cats" a lot,
Oh yeah.
and so like I said it to Embry, and she was like, "Space cats aren't real, Dad." I'm like, I know, it's holy space cats.
I like riddle me this, and I like what is it? Trying to say the PG version of it. Holy pet droppings, Batman.
I tell Embry, I tease Embry sometimes. We'll be hanging out and we'll be, laughing and teasing. And, she's 6, and so she'll say random things. And so sometimes she's stretching the truth a little bit. And, I always use super, because we're parents. It's our job. You need to make sure you're using very clean language around your children. And so with Embry, I'll look at her and I'll say, I'll look at her and I'll say, you know what, Embry? I think you're full of cat poop. And she's like, I didn't eat cat poop, Dad. And I'm like, I don't know. You're stretching the truth pretty far.
Right.
I think you're full of cat poop, girlfriend.
I started telling her, you're poking me in the belly with your nose, Pinocchio.
Yeah. She's a good kid, man. I love her
yeah.
with all my heart, man. She's not like a little liar. She's just 6 and trying to understand the world,
Oh, yeah.
Dude, she did so good at church, though.
She did. She did really good.
So impressed. They had for the viewers, y'all don't know, our church did a really cool little program, and all the kids, it was for the kids, and a bunch of the kids got up and they said some stuff they learned from the Bible, and so my daughter had to say a couple of lines that she had to learn because she's still learning to read. She's getting better. She's doing better, but some of those words for a 6-year-old are kind of big.
And it wasn't like 3 words. It was like it was 2 full-on sentences.
Yeah.
It was
But dude,
kudos on her.
She's smart. She memorized it, and so, dude, she got up on stage, and we have 2 services, so they had to do it twice. So she did it twice, both services. The second service, they finish, they get down. Our preacher, Blue, he gets up there, and he's like, Embry, come up here, tell us what you said. And she did it a 3rd time. I was like, you go, girlfriend. She had so much fun. We were laughing and cutting up afterwards. Me and a few of the church members, and they were like, "Dude, your little girl was so full of energy up there. She didn't know what to do because they're supposed to be up there, singing their song, and she's waving her arms and doing all kinds of things." And I'm like, "Bruh, this is not a Pilates class." But she was having fun. She did really good, man. She had a great time. I was super, super happy with it, man. And it's nice, I think our men's fellowship is going pretty good too.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. What I like about it is there are people that aren't from our church that are showing up, and then there are people that are like, I've actually ran into a couple of people, and they're like, I'm trying to find something for the guys. I'm like, hey, we do a men's group, and I mean, and people that come by just to visit, they're like, I don't know about the whole church thing, but I really dig this men's group. So it's like getting their toes wet, getting them in there.
I think it's important, man. And I think there's a lot of guys that need it, It's a safe place to really give your testimony and talk and learn about the Bible and learn about it for what a man really needs to know. Which, don't get me wrong, church is super important too. I go every Sunday,
right.
but I know that it's really good for men to be able to have that environment and to see that other men, like, we got you. And so that's one of the big things for us is that we got your back, bro. Like, if you got to get something off your chest and you need to talk about it and you need some spiritual guidance, here you go.
What really helps people that are in a depressed state or that are struggling with something is realizing that there are other people that are struggling with the same thing.
Absolutely.
And so, like, going into the men's group, it's like, oh, I'm dealing with this.
Yeah.
And then you feel comfortable because we always say, you know, whatever it says here stays here. Like, we don't go out, we don't gossip, you know, we don't do any of that.
Yeah, what's
And
said
so-
here stays here, and that's one thing I really like is it's a good safe space for men.
Right.
And I know that sounds dumb. I know people are like safe space. That sounds so stupid. Man, from a biblical point, I think it's really healthy. It helps us make leaders out of men.
Right.
We're supposed to be the leaders of our home, the spiritual leaders. I mean, there's so many things we're supposed to do as men, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you need a little help, and you're afraid to ask for questions. And sitting in that men's group, and we're talking about the Bible and the Word of God, and you're gonna get something out of it. You
Right.
know? And if you're struggling with something, like you said earlier, like, man, ask. We'll see what we can do to help out, you know?
I think it's funny. You see some people, they come in, and these men are kind of nervous. Like, I don't think I want to say anything. I'm going to just sit back and observe. Then there's people like me that's like, I'm going to tell everybody, this is what I'm dealing with. You know, like, help me out. Like, give me guidance. Like, I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'm actually dealing with that.
Absolutely,
Well,
yeah.
I tried this, and then you know, and then by the end of it, they're in there sharing and talking.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love it.
Well, and that's what it's for. It's a Bible study, essentially, but we call it a men's fellowship because it is a moment where we can all share and discuss what we're going through and try to see what we're discussing about the Bible that day, how it can relate to us, and how we can use it to help our situation and to maybe help somebody else. You know, because it's not just about us. If we can use that to help a friend we know, or do a better job raising our children, or be a better husband, you know, or a better son, whatever that may be. And I think it's really cool. Now, that being said, I want everybody to notice we ain't said a single thing about anything that's happening there. But that's important. You know, everybody's going to make the joke, I'm sure. Yeah, the first rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club, you know, and that's fine. You can make
I
all
don't
the
know what
jokes
you're
you
talking
want.
about.
You're full of cat poop.
What are you talking about? What's this Fight Club you're talking about?
Yeah.
No.
But my point being is that it's important that, you know, we tell as many people as we can, and we try to get people to go to things like that, you know.
Right.
There is something that some people that are also involved in our men's fellowship have been doing called Jubilee, I do believe is what it's called.
Right.
And
Yeah. In the prison ministry.
yeah, and they're going to prisons, dude. The things they talk about it's crazy. I was talking to one of the gentlemen, and he was talking about how humble he was. Like, it humbled him being in there. He was like, you know, I go in there, and you know, you don't realize how God's going to move in this place. And I said, isn't that crazy? You go to a place like that, and you would think of all the places, you know, you're going to find God. Yep. God's there.
Right.
God's there. Now, that being said, that's something that was discussed outside of that.
What's cool
But
about
that's
it,
that's about the Jubilee. That's not about the men's.
and those people have told me that they didn't think they were going to get anything out of it. They were just going to go in there and tell their testimony, share about Jesus, and they're like, I actually learned a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
yeah.
a lot of them came back saying, man, that changed me.
Yeah, and it's crazy, man, and it's just, I think it's amazing. I think being able to put yourself aside and go preach to those who need it, you know, even door to door. We go door to door. Me
Not
and Carlos do. Yeah.
I won't do it.
Yeah, I know. You're a hermit. It's okay. Me and Carlos, we do a lot of door to door, and some people go with us sometimes. And but we go door to door, and we hand out Bibles, and we ask if people want to hear about Jesus, man. And we got to word it correctly, because you got Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons out there.
Right.
So we can't just be like,
We don't
"Hey,
wear
you
ties."
Yeah. No. The first words out of my mouth are, "I'm with such and such church." You know, here in Brown County, I'm a Christian. I would love to talk to you about Jesus if you'd like to talk about Jesus, or maybe we can pray with you about how you're, what you may need prayer for, or whatever you're like. That's kind of how we go about it. We don't ride bicycles around with helmets and ties and
They
church.
say, let me tell you about where
Yeah.
you're going.
I'm usually wearing a shirt I've got that says, "How can I pray for you?"
Right.
You know, like,
Oh, you're mowing your yard?
yeah.
You know who mows your yard? Satan. It's not like that.
Richard has a story. One day I gotta get Richard on here, but
Right.
he has got a story, bro. and I'll do my best to tell his story. There was apparently a Jehovah's Witness showed up to his house, and he was working underneath his vehicle or something working, and they showed up and they wanted to talk to him, and he asked them a biblical question, and it's not whatever the question was, it's not in their book, and they don't believe that way. And I don't remember what the question was, but he told them, he was like, if you can find that anywhere in your book, I will eat my hat. He said, but if you can't find it, you got to eat my hat. And the guy left and said, I'll be back. And so he ran in the house, got his Bible, showed him where it was in his Bible, and then got the hat. It's like, I'm waiting for this guy. He never came back, of course,
But see, my thing is I used to be very skittish. Like, I'm going to go knock on this door. Well, what if they're like, well, what about you? I know you do this, you do that. And I let my flesh get in my way. But
that being said, David, you're not doing things that, like, not to put your business out there, but I will 100% say you don't do anything that I look at and say is not Christian. You know what I mean? That is not a follower of Christ, so to speak. I will say you're a sinner just like me. We both sin.
Right.
We're all sinners. The goal is to make an effort not to. But so I wouldn't word that way, but I certainly see where you're coming from. What you're saying is them looking at you and saying, "How can you ask this of me?"
Right.
Ask me what's shipping in. Okay.
And,
sorry, I wanted to correct that.
Right. Yeah. I'm not. I'm not one of them island boys.
Yeah.
Anywho, but what I find funny is I say, "Oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that." But I'm finding more and more that, like, I'm at the grocery store, or like the other day I was smoking a cigar,
right,
and God just pops up, and people ask a random question. It's like, I actually know that answer, but I don't find that like me preaching. Like, that's what I try. I try not to do.
Whether you're going door to door and talking to people or talking to somebody in public, you're not preaching to people. So, like, there was a door me and Carla stopped at, and we spoke to a gentleman, and he answered the door, and it was pretty obvious he was struggling with some things. I'm not going to put the man's business out
right.
there. But we just talked to him and said, "Man, how you doing today?" He said, "Oh, pretty good. What can I do you for?" And I said, we're with such and such church, and we just wanted to come say hi and, see if you need any prayer today, man. We'd love to pray with you. And he was really sweet. He just popped off and he said, "I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z. I just got my family back." He brought his wife and his son outside, and he was like, "Man, I would love it if you could pray with us, man. I just started going to a church, I think he said, like, that Sunday." And we were like, "Oh my goodness, yeah, dude, we will totally." And so we prayed with him. He told us his testimony, and that was great. And there's some houses you go to and you talk to somebody, and they're like, "Well, I would love to hear what you got to say. Let's hear what you got to say." And you just, talk to them and be like, "Well, what do you know?" That's the thing. I always ask questions. I think it's important. Don't just sit there and be like, "Well, this is what you need to know."
So why do you find it important to ask questions?
Because you find out what they don't know, or what they don't know, and where they may be misunderstanding things. And by doing that, you can better help them. As opposed to, let me tell you what I think you know. I can just let you tell me.
That's interesting. So why do you find that different than what the other people are doing?
I will say this. I think and I've said it a bunch of times, and I don't care who hears it. I think it's important that we make an effort to reach our neighbors here and tell them about Jesus. And help them to become followers of Christ. Because I think it's insane that the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses a lot of times make bigger efforts in our neighborhoods than we do. The Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons, I've noticed, go door to door. And they go talk to people, and they'll go well out of their way to go talk to people. But you have a lot of Christians today that are comfortable going to church and checking that box.
Right.
And don't be wrong, going to church is important, and hearing the Word of God is important. But why are you just checking that box?
Right.
You need to be doing right. I would hate if I made it to heaven and I was hanging out at the gates, which I don't know how any of this works, so everybody forgive me for my way of wording this, but I would hate if I went to heaven and I was hanging out at the gates and one of my friends came up and said, "Man, I just got told I'm not going to make it in. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me about God? I know that's all over social media, but it's the truth, and that is a terrifying thought. And so I think missionary trips are super important. I think traveling the country and traveling outside of the country, sorry, and telling the world about God is super important. But I also think it's super important and equally as important to tell people here, because there's plenty of people here that need to hear it, and they, I'm sure, have heard about Christians. But there's people that don't know much. As many doors as I've knocked on, there's people that don't know much. There's people that just need prayer. And there's a lot of people I've run into that are just like, I just need prayer, man. Just pray with me. I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z, and I really need some prayer.
And a lot of people don't think about like their community because they're like, well, everyone's heard about God around here,
right?
And it's like, it's not always the case.
Yeah.
Like some people, like I knew a guy in school that he knew about church, but his family said those were the cult people. And so he looked at church and looked at God as cults.
Yeah.
He never actually walked into a church, but he knew that was a church and that's where people that were part of a cult. And so it's like, and that was next door.
There's people I know that'll tell you that if you've been saved, you don't have to read your Bible.
Right.
I wouldn't say that's true. Like it's insane to see the lack of knowledge. And this is going to sound dumb and hateful. And I don't mean it hateful. It's just true. You can get a free one of those from people. You can buy one. You can find them in motels. Right. You mean to tell me that you're making assumptions instead of reading it?
Yes.
I'm just saying, like, you can do the homework yourself. And if you don't know, go to someone you can trust that'll tell you the information. So it's important to talk to somebody who has their theology right and their apologetics right. Talk to somebody who's got some time in them. And the Bible speaks about that as far as leaders being old in the faith. Like, it's important that you go to somebody that's going to be knowledgeable when you have these questions. Because if you just go to Joe Blow,
but it's also
he may not give you good information.
And going to people for advice and for help, but you also have to back it up with the Bible.
That's right. If it does not coincide with the Bible, if it contradicts it in any way, I'm out.
Right.
Like,
we have a couple of people in our church that will give me great advice, but they'll point to it in the Bible.
Right.
Go right here and read this passage. This passage will help you.
Yep.
It helped me in this situation. To me, I value that more than, well, this is what they were trying to say. No, I don't want your opinion.
Yeah, I want you to tell me advice and show it to me. I'm with you.
And my thing about reading the Bible, and we gotta call it quits pretty soon. But
yeah, it's getting pretty long here.
My thing with like reading the Bible is if you just go to church and you're just listening to the preacher and you're taking him by his word and not reading the word, that's like, I'm going to be friends with this guy, but I'm not going to talk to him and I'm not going to learn about him. I'm going to go to this other friend and he's going to tell me how this friend is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't make sense.
Now that being said, I want to touch base on what you said about showing you where it says it in the Bible. I think it's important that sometimes sometimes you need help maybe understanding what something means in the Bible.
Right.
That's what I was getting at, where I was like, go to somebody that can help you, that you can trust. Not, hey, I've known this guy for 10 years and he knows nothing about the Bible, but he's pretty smart. Well, that's not the guy that can help you with that problem.
Right. Go to the guy you've only known for about 3 months, but he knows the Bible for about 30.
Yeah, 30 years.
That's the guy you need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And why does it say this? Well, that's funny you say that because if you go back in the Old Testament, this is where it pops up before.
See, it sounds like we're talking to Blue right now.
Right.
Because that's kind of things Blue will do. He's really good about that. He'll be like, well, actually, this is blah, 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 blah. And be like, if you go back to so-and-so and you read right here, it says so-and-so, which is super helpful and awesome.
Yes.
That being said.
You want to pray this out?
I suppose I will. Lord, thank you for letting us gather here today. Thank you for letting us have such a good day and for a fun, good podcast where we can talk about you and praise your name, Father. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.